Hi guys, Matt Andrews. Really excited to be here. Just right up front, I want to say thank you to Eddie Speed and his whole team, and Bob and everybody that's involved. You guys are awesome. NoteExpo has the best reputation out there as being one of the top events in the entire industry, the top event in the note industry, obviously. And so it's just an honor to be here with you, and always an honor to work with my friend Eddie Speed, who is the master. I'm a house flipper. I've done a lot of deals over the last 20 years. I've flipped thousands of properties. I have a large rental portfolio. I've done some note deals, but I got to tell you, everything that I have learned about notes, I've learned from Eddie Speed. And when I thought I knew about notes a few years ago, he schooled me and just took me up to that next level. So I owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to him in my traditional real estate business. And I've also been fortunate to work with him in a lot of educational venues as well. So really happy to be here, happy to be with you. And, you know, a couple of weeks ago, Eddie and I were together. We were at an event in person, which was crazy, right? Actually in person in the same room together at a small event that I put on in Tampa, Florida. And I gave some opening remarks at that event, kind of an oversized mastermind is what that event was. For real estate educators. And Eddie afterwards came up to me and said, man, I would love it if you could come to NoteExpo and if you could just share those same thoughts. So that's what I'm doing here. When Eddie Speed asks for a favor or asks me to do something, I am right there because, like I said, anytime I collaborate with him, anytime I can do anything with him, I always learn, and it's always a really good use of my time. So I'm really happy to be here. I'm glad you guys are here. You have invested your time to be here. I know a lot of you probably don't know me. You're thinking, who is this guy? So I'm honored to be one of the first speakers here at this esteemed event. And hopefully I can share just a couple of thoughts with you over the next few minutes that will mean something to you and hopefully set the tone for what we're doing here at NoteExpo. And anytime I go into an event of power players like this, I mean, this event represents the top players in the note investing world, right? So there's a lot of opportunity for all of us who are here in attendance to interface with other people, to see who's here, to learn from the speakers that are here, to be part of the community. So anytime I go into an event and I have an opportunity to be with power players like this, I think about a couple of different things. Number one, I think about, you know, everybody I meet, no matter what level they're at, okay, up here, down here, no matter what level, everyone I meet has the ability to teach me something, right? So I go into every relationship with that kind of mindset. Number two, every day there is something, maybe it's just one thing, but every day there's something for me to learn, all right? And I have a feeling over the next couple of days here at NoteExpo, there's going to be a lot of things to learn, right? But you have to approach it with an open mind like that and realize every day there's something I can learn, right? And number three, you know, number one is I can learn something from everybody. Number two is every day I can learn something new, right? I can learn something and grow every day. And number three is every time I learn something, I grow. It benefits me, right? And so that's the mindset that I want us all to go into NoteExpo with over the next couple days. Is every person here we can learn something from, right? Every relationship here presents an opportunity to learn, grow, collaborate, and we should look at it like that. Today and tomorrow, the time that we're here at NoteExpo represents an unprecedented opportunity for us to learn, but we have to have that open mind, right? We have to be listening, we have to be taking notes, we have to have that open mind, and we have to be playing all out. So I invite you guys, I'll be here, I'm excited about this. And I'm just, a buddy of Eddie's and some of the other people running this event, and I'm excited about it. Note investing is not even my full-time business, but I'm really excited over what's happening here over the next couple of days. And so I'm going to play all out. I hope you guys will play all out. Let's do it together, and let's really work to make this next couple of days an event where we can grow together, really thrive during this time. So with that, I'm going to go into my slides, and I'll tell you a story here real quick. Here we go. So this picture that you're looking at here is a picture of my great grandfather. His name was Lloyd Copeland, and this is a picture of him in Tampa, Florida, circa 1930s. And that crazy thing he's driving was his mobile produce mobile, right? So he was a produce wholesaler, and that is how he got around and how he got out to areas to supply people with produce out in the country. The outskirts of Tampa, it's all built up now, but back then it was all countryside, and people couldn't get into the city. And he went out to them and brought them produce, and this was his business. He was an entrepreneur, and this is part of my entrepreneurial history. You know, a lot of entrepreneurship runs in my family, but I think a lot of it goes back to my great grandfather, Lloyd Copeland, who started in the produce business. And what was unique about this was, you know, number one, he found a need and filled it, right? There were people who couldn't get fresh produce easily that lived on the outskirts of town and places that were harder to reach. But there were places that he could get to and park on the road and help those people. So that was cool. But then the other thing that he did, and what was unique and what was uniquely entrepreneurial, was that he started actually buying more of these cars and retrofitting them the same way and empowering other entrepreneurs to start their own mobile produce markets. And so he would supply them as a wholesaler, and then they would have their own routes and kind of run their own business supplied by him. So he empowered entrepreneurs, which I think is really cool. And I think probably really speaks to everyone listening right now, because that's what we do, right? You know, as real estate investors, as note investors, as entrepreneurs in general, what do? We create opportunities for other people. And the more people we can create opportunities for, the better we are, the better they are, the better our businesses are, the better our lives become, right? So I've always really admired my great grandfather for the way he built this business. Now, fast forward a few years later, he parlayed this into an actual storefront, and it still stands today in Tampa, Florida, Copeland's Market. And it's no longer in my family, but was for many, many years, and for most of his life. And that was, you know, a place where my grandmother and my father worked growing up. And so just a really cool entrepreneurial legacy that I draw from as I attempt to, you know, build communities and help people and do the things like you guys are doing, building businesses, which is all about relationships. I try to emulate the spirit that he had. And he was a hard worker. I mean, you can see it here in his face. I mean, look at his face. That dude was no nonsense. Lloyd Copeland, at 85 years old, could outwork most 25-year-olds that I know, hands down. I mean, I had the opportunity as a young child to work with him out in his yard behind his house. And I remember specifically, I have a lot of memories of digging up worms. He was a big fisherman, loved to fish, right? And I remember fishing with him and having those memories. But before we would go fishing, probably my favorite part was going back to his worm bed and digging up these worms and getting our hands in the dirt, right? And having that real experience. And I loved that I had that time with him. Now, we called him Pop, right? So his name was Lloyd Copeland. We called him Pop Copeland. Pop was never, even though he was an entrepreneur, even though he empowered a lot of entrepreneurs, even though he helped a lot of people, Pop was never a rich man. He was never thought of as the guy that had all the money. He was looked up to. He was a leader, but he was never what we would call traditionally wealthy. And when he died, he didn't die with a lot of money in the bank. Gave a lot of it away, gave most of it away, probably. And so didn't have a lot of money in the bank. But when he died, and when we had his funeral and his memorial service especially, people were lined up around the block to pay honor and pay tribute to this man. Lined up around the block, more than I've ever seen at anything, more than any wedding, more than any funeral I've ever seen. They were lined up to pay tribute and pay respects to this man. And the reason why they did that, the reason why so many people held him in such high esteem, the reason why he held a place in so many people's hearts was really because of one simple thing. He invested in people. He invested in people. So I know we're talking right now to a group of investors, and I'm a real estate investor and a note investor myself. And we are always looking for the best investment we can make with our money, the best thing that we can do with our money, the best way we can use our time so that we can grow our businesses. We're looking for those great note deals, those pools of deals that we can pick up, right? Those groups of deals, or those high margin deals that we can get. But the number one investment that we can make for our businesses, for our families, for our lives is to invest in people. You will get no higher return on any kind of real estate investment, note investment, even the best. You'll get no return even close to investing the right time, the right energy, the right emotional energy with the right people. And that is what my grandfather understood, my great grandfather. That's what he understood. He understood that if you invest in people, that's really what makes you a rich man. And so when he died, he didn't die with much money, but he was the richest man I have ever met. He's the richest man I've ever met because he invested in people, and his life was rich with relationships. So think about that. That's the benefit that I think about all the time as I'm working in business, as I'm growing companies, as I'm making deals. I always think about who am I investing in and where's the real return here, the return that really means something in what I'm doing here. Is it just a financial return? If it's just financial return, then it's going to come up short for you eventually. But if you're investing in people, building relationships, doing things the right way, authentically serving people, well, the money will come as a byproduct. Absolutely will come as a byproduct. Some of you might know the author John Maxwell. I'm sure most of you know him. And I was reading a quote from him the other day that said, the right thought plus the right people in the right environment at the right time for the right reason equals the right result. That's what NoteExpo is all about, right? It's about having the right people in the room, providing the right environment. We certainly know it's the right time. I mean, now is the time for opportunity, right? And we're here for the right reason, to learn how to better our businesses and help more people. So we're going to get the right result out of this time together. And I love that quote by John Maxwell. I run some mastermind groups, and this really epitomizes what I try to capture in those mastermind groups. It's all about getting the right people in the room and having an authentic sharing and communication between those players. And again, that's what NoteExpo is, right? And I think Kevin O'Leary made this video for one of my masterminds, and I think he sums it up pretty nicely when he talks about kind of the hive mentality. But I'll let him tell you about it here.
Hi there, Mr. Wonderful here, talking about one of my favorite sectors of the economy, real estate. I don't care, commercial real estate, residential real estate, multifamily, you name it. The thing about, and what I love about the real estate industry is it's local, local, and local. Price discovery and understanding your market and knowing what trades at what price and why is incredibly important. And that's why the whole idea of understanding how that fits together is something that great agents do. And they're very, very productive because they get to know their market inside out, and they help buyers and sellers get together and clear prices and do transactions. Now, I want to do a big shout out. Congratulations to the success of the Family Mastermind and the Family Reunion event. You brought together the top real estate influencers in the country and created a community of power players. Keep up the great work. I mean, one of the things that's interesting is if you're in an industry like real estate, you want to meet others that are successful as well. There's a certain concept called the hive concept where, sparrows group together when they do this to show each other that there's millions of them, that there's strength in numbers. Same idea here. I'm trying to use nature as an idea for why you want to get all the power players together. It's because they want to be together. They want to talk about their industry. They want to share ideas. It's a fantastic event. So Family Mastermind and the Family Reunion event were exactly that for real estate. Anyways, congratulations, guys, and keep up the good work. It's an industry that is never going to go away.
So the the concept that he's talking about there is shared thinking. The hive mentality, the idea not just that there's power in numbers, but that there's exponential power and brain power in numbers, right? So I want to talk for just a few minutes here about the benefits of shared thinking. The benefits of shared thinking. Number one, shared thinking is faster than solo thinking. Right now at NoteExpo, we have an opportunity to be a part of and have our brains engage with a lot of other smart people, right? A lot of other successful people in the room. If we can communicate with these people, if we can build relationships with the folks that are here and the people that are presenting, we can develop a shared thinking, and we can figure out things easier, quicker, faster than we could by ourselves, right? Now, I was in the kitchen the other night, and my wife has got everything very, very organized in the kitchen. And I am not a very organized person, but she's got a structure and organization for everything, especially where things are kept. And I was looking for the salt, right? And so I opened the cabinet, and the salt's not there. I'm looking where the salt usually is. It's not there. Why is the salt not here? I say to my wife, honey, where is the salt? It's not in the salt spot. And she walks over and immediately looks right where I was looking, reaches in and pulls out the salt. For whatever reason, I did not see it, right? And we all have times like that, right? We have those blind spot times. It was right in front of my face, and I could not see it, right? So in that instance, I couldn't find the salt. She tremendously sped things up for me by being able to see the thing that I was looking for, right? So that's a silly example in my married life of shared thinking. But think about who's at NoteExpo. Think about Eddie Speed. Think about Bob. Think about the other people that are here in this room, the experts that are here in this room, and think about the opportunity you have and what you can gain by shared thinking with minds like that. What can you accomplish? That's why you're here, right? What can you accomplish in your business faster than you could by yourself? That's the whole purpose of NoteExpo. That's why we all get together, right? Is so that we can have shared thinking. So lean into that. Realize that shared thinking is faster than solo thinking. Shared thinking is also more innovative than solo thinking. I mean, if we use the brain power of this room, we'll come up with solutions and ideas that are way out of the box, right? And we know in business, the more we can apply new strategies, cutting edge strategies, the better we're going to be. So shared thinking is more innovative than solo thinking. A great example of that is the light bulb. Everybody knows the light bulb, right? Who invented the light bulb? Thomas Edison. Well, but he didn't though, right? His team invented it, right? In fact, all of his inventions, the light bulb, everything else that he's credited with inventing, it was all the result of shared thinking. So yeah, Thomas Edison might have his name on the light bulb, right? He might be, quote, the inventor of the light bulb, but really there were, probably 70 plus men that worked on that concept of a light bulb and were in some way responsible for that end result of a bulb that produced illumination, right? So Thomas Edison would have never been able to do that on his own. It was the shared thinking that provided the innovation that created that light bulb, that literal first light bulb moment, right? So when we are working together, when we are sharing in our thinking, we see things that we don't normally see. And I read these quotes the other day. It's hard to see the picture while inside the frame, right? I thought that was great. And you can't, this really means the same thing. You can't see the label from inside the jar. And that's so true. Sometimes we are so in our business that we don't see the things that we need to see. We're so in a forest for the trees type scenario that we don't see the things that are right in front of us. Sometimes we don't see that salt sitting right there in the cabinet, right in front of our face, right? You can't see the label from inside the jar. But if you have shared thinking, if you have other people that are outside that jar, well, now your perspective completely changes. You can see the label from outside the jar. You can see the label from talking to somebody who's outside the jar, right? So that shared thinking benefits us in so many ways, which really leads me to the next point, and that's that shared thinking brings more maturity than solo thinking. Shared thinking brings more maturity than solo thinking. There's been a lot of talk in the business world lately about EQ, about emotional intelligence. I'm a big fan of the concept of emotional intelligence and how we make the decisions we make and how emotions play into that, and how mastering your emotions can help you make better decisions, how having a high EQ can help you achieve what you're trying to achieve. And we all have moments that I call low EQ moments, right? We all have moments where we say or do something out of emotion or have a knee-jerk reaction. Almost every time we call something a knee-jerk reaction, that's a low EQ moment. Or if we snap back at somebody, that's a low EQ moment. Or if we're just upset about something and are upset about something while we have to make decisions about it, that can be a dangerous combination, to make decisions while in a low emotional state. We don't see things clearly, right? So through shared thinking, we can have more maturity. And at times in my life and in my business, I've had people say, hey man, this thing that you're working on here, man, it's not going to work. And here's why, man. And I got to show you, here's the reason why this is going to be, an issue going down the road, or why this is not going to be fruitful like you think it is. And people have helped me see things more maturely in my business that I couldn't see at the time because I was looking at it with low EQ eyes, right? So we all have those moments. We all have blind spots. We all have things that kind of get our goad, right? We all have our pet peeves, the things that just kind of tweak us. They're like, nothing gets me more than this thing, right? Well, that throws you into a low EQ moment. And while you need to work on recognizing those things, and while I need to work on recognizing those things and not giving into that in the moment, a hack for that and an easy way to do that is by employing shared thinking that brings more maturity in those moments. So that's a really big one for me, and that's something that I've really leaned into a lot personally over the last little while. Shared thinking is stronger than solo thinking. If you need to brainstorm an idea and you're in a room by yourself, you're going to hit a ceiling pretty fast, right? But if you got 2 people, 3 people, 5 people, 10 people, the more of the right people you add into that room, the stronger the thinking becomes, right? The more you limit your liabilities, the more you mitigate your blind spots. Quite simply, in most situations, shared thinking will be stronger than solo thinking. So NoteExpo, how strong is the thinking here? I mean, it's exponentially stronger than any of us as an individual, right? Because the brain power here is huge. So the shared thinking that happens here is stronger than the solo thinking, can help us more in our business than if we were alone in a room somewhere. We're all, I'm guessing we're all entrepreneurs, right? In some way, shape, or form. And sometimes as an entrepreneur, it's easy to get caught on what I sometimes jokingly refer to as Entrepreneur Island. And Entrepreneur Island, although it might sound nice, you might think it's, pina coladas on the beach with little umbrellas and beautiful beaches. That's not what it is. Entrepreneur Island is more like the movie Castaway with Tom Hanks. Entrepreneur Island is you're the entrepreneur, you're the business owner, you're the boss, you're the leader, you're the one running the room or the business or whatever it is. You're the one responsible for the deal, and you feel like you're alone. right? As an entrepreneur, you feel like you are literally alone, living on an island, about to go crazy and talk to a volleyball like Tom Hanks did on that movie, right? So shared thinking is what can pull us out of that. Being alone, being on Entrepreneur Island, feeling like we're alone, being the one that has to answer all the questions, being the one that all the questions are asked of, and that being constant, not being around other people, not being around other entrepreneurs to talk about those things. We need that. We need that ability to have that kind of shared thinking, right? To get out of that island, to get off that island, right? Or at least bring other people on that island with you so you can have a party, right? But don't be alone on Entrepreneur Island. And it's interesting how some people, and I've certainly been in this boat in the past, some people that run large organizations and deal with people all the time, every day, can still feel extremely lonely because they're not dealing with anybody that they feel like truly understands what they're going through on a day-to-day basis, or what they're doing in their business, or what they're doing as an entrepreneur. So shared thinking gets you out of that. Shared thinking is stronger than solo thinking. Shared thinking returns greater value than solo thinking, right? If you're looking for the better deal, if you're looking for a pool of note deals, if you're looking for good partnerships, shared thinking is what brings that together, right? And then that creates more value, that makes more money, that creates more opportunity, that helps more people. Shared thinking simply returns greater value for all the same reasons that we've talked about. And lastly, shared thinking is the path to great thinking. We've heard a lot about that book in recent years, Good to Great. A lot of you probably read it. I've read it. It's a good book, right? And I think we all want to go from good to great. And one of the ways that we can get there quicker, faster, more efficiently, stronger is by shared thinking. Shared thinking is the path to great thinking. It's the path to the great ideas that we can have in our businesses. It's the path to the exclusive deals that we didn't have access to. All of that comes from shared thinking. And shared thinking is certainly the path to great thinking. So how do we encourage shared thinking? As you're going through NoteExpo over the next couple days, think about this and think about how you can encourage shared thinking in your interactions, in your participation in what's going on here. Think about how you can encourage shared thinking. Just a couple of ideas for you. Value the ideas of others. We talked before about having an open mind, right? About everything that's going on here, having that, your mind wide open, realizing every day, every person has something to teach you. Well, make sure when ideas are brought to you, all right, don't close off to those ideas, right? Value the ideas of others. If somebody says something that you immediately think, oh, that's not correct, I know that's not correct, don't have a knee-jerk reaction and say, oh, that's not right. Say, tell me more, right? Say, interesting. Explain that more to me. Instead of shutting down the conversation, let that open up the conversation. Maybe you misunderstood, or maybe you guys need to have a good exchange so that you guys can learn from each other, right? But don't close yourself off. Value the ideas of others. If anybody has ever watched, stand-up comedy or watched any improv, the improv is where they just kind of off the cuff make up things, and usually in a small troupe, just kind of riff on something or make up something off the cuff. There's only one rule that you can't break. There's only one rule that you have to keep in improv, and that is basically you have to say yes and. Meaning, if somebody comes up to you and you're just making up a skit off the cuff, and they say this is an apple, and they hold up an apple to you, and you say yes, and there's a worm inside that apple. Now you have started the story and you're off, right? You value that idea and you've taken off. Now, boom, you're off on your partnership of creating an improv sequence, right? But if someone comes up to you and says this is an apple, and you say no, it's not, now the skit is over. Right? The conversation is over. So it's the same way when somebody comes to you with an idea. If they say, oh, I'm doing a note deal like this, or I'm buying, I'm positioning or structuring my deals like this, or I'm doing my taxes like this, and you say, oh, that's a terrible idea and then you start telling them what you've closed off the conversation. You've effectively not valued their ideas. So go into note school and go into life valuing the ideas of others instead of correcting or shutting them down. And you'll be really, really surprised at how it engages the people around you and how it increases the value of your relationships. Next, and this one I cannot speak about enough, move from, and this is a mental shift here, right? Move from competition to cooperation. All right. It always amazes me in real estate investing, note investing, and just business in general, how competitive people are instead of being cooperative, and how many people think, crushing your competition or crushing your enemies is the way to true success over learning a way to work with, potential competitors and make even more money and have even an even bigger piece of the pie. Now, I understand there are things such as healthy running mates. I'm all about healthy running mates. Somebody who's in your business, maybe they're doing note deals too. They're running a great business. They're running a great real estate business, and you're kind of running alongside of them and you're trying to do as many deals as they are or whatever it is. That can be good. There can be camaraderie there. We can learn from each other in that way. And I think that's awesome. But competing with people or consistently comparing yourself, comparing your business to other people's businesses, comparing your life to other people's lives, comparing your deals to other people's deals. That is a recipe for coming up unfulfilled, for simply just not living the life that you want to live. I've found so much more value in cooperating and learning how to work with people instead of competing. Now, you can't work with everybody, right? Not everybody's a fit partner for every deal or every kind of business or whatever it is, right? But you don't need to treat anybody like an enemy that needs to be crushed. And I found so much of the time, just by changing the tone of a conversation, by starting the conversation differently, by saying things like I said before, like, tell me more about that, or interesting, I want to hear more. By saying those kinds of things, that can turn somebody who felt like a competitor into a cooperative partner that will yield so much more return in terms of relationship and financial rewards. So move in your mind from competition to cooperation. Instead of being upset that somebody's got a bigger, better business than you, don't be upset about that. Be inspired by that and be around them, right? Cooperate with them in some way that will make your business better. And so much of business gets into this, Attila the Hun, kind of Machiavellian, kind of like crush your enemies. And I understand there's a place for machismo, and there's a place for bravado in business. And I get that, right? And I like to get excited about things I'm working on too. But do it in a way where the excitement comes because you made another connection. You joined another business. You merged another company. You acquired another company. You made another key partnership. You cooperated in some way versus competing or crushing your enemies. Move from competition to cooperation. You want to get the right people around the table, right? The way you encourage shared thinking is by having the right minds around the table so that you've got the right type of thinking in the room, right? And Eddie Speed and the team here, they've done that. NoteExpo, I mean, here we are. It is rocking and it is awesome. And they have got the right people around the table. They've got the right people here in the broadcast room, right? On the digital stage, the people are here and you guys are here, right? You are here as participants. So they've done their job here. The right people are around the table for you. You've just got to take advantage of it. And remember to invest in others. Like we talked about, like my great grandpa, like Pop Copeland, invest in others so it becomes a win-win. Okay. Good business is truly a win-win type scenario. You want to have long-lasting partnerships, long-lasting businesses that have long-term relationships with other businesses that are simpatico, right? That bring value to each other. And you want to invest in those people, in those businesses, in those types of deals in a way that everybody involved wins. Because if everybody involved wins, that's something you can do over and over again, right? But let's look at this scenario here. If you're looking at each relationship as a partnership created for mutual benefit, if you are looking at each relationship and going into it thinking, we can both win here. How do I create a win-win? those are going to be the ones that really create the big aha moments, the big light bulbs at events like this, at communities that you build, and the deals that you're doing. But if you go into it thinking like this, if it's an I win, you lose scenario, right? If I win in the deal and you lose, then I win only one time, right? I win one time. Because if I win and you lose, you're not doing another deal with me. You're not going to start another business with me, right? I won and you lost. It's not a good scenario long term for anybody. If we go into the scenario where you win and I lose, the opposite happens, then you win only once, right? Short term, again, we both lose long term. You've won, I've lost, you win only once. Now, if we go in and you lose and I lose, right? We both lose. Well, goodbye partnership. It didn't work. Whatever happened there happened. Obviously, we're not going to do that again because we both lost in that scenario. But, and you see where I'm going here, when we both win, when we find a true win-win scenario, we can win over and over again. That's scalable relationship building right there. If I'm winning, you're winning. If everybody involved in the deal, if everybody involved in the partnership, if everybody involved in the business, if everybody involved in the family is winning, then we can do that over and over and over again because our interests are aligned, right? Our interests are aligned. So go into every relationship thinking about it as, what is the mutual benefit here? What can I do for this person? And what can this person bring to me in my life? And how can we make that happen? How can we have an honest exchange and a give and take here? How can we create a true win-win scenario so that we can win over and over again many times? And I'll close here with this. I want to ask you a question. And it's a question that I've asked myself, and I think as an entrepreneur, I'm sure you've thought about it, even if you haven't recently defined it. But what is freedom? What does it really mean to be free? What is true freedom? As entrepreneurs, I think many times, we get into business thinking that true freedom is owning our own business, right? And then some of us figure out that if a business is not structured right, that it's actually just a job, right? It's just like a job. So we got into business for freedom, but really we just created a job for ourselves, and now we're a slave to that business. We're not free, right? Some people think freedom is just being able to, to live the way you want and have no worries, right? To be free of worry. And I think that's a great thing, to live your life free of worries. That sounds like a type of freedom for sure, right? Some people think that freedom is, paying off your house or being free from debt, right? Not having debt. A lot of people think that's real freedom. But in the last few years, and I'm sure my definition of freedom has changed in some ways, but my definition is really congealed to something pretty simple for me. And this is one of my mastermind groups that I run. These are some of my closest people and closest friends. For me, true freedom is about working on worthwhile projects with people that you like in a way that helps people, makes money, and is fulfilling. To me, that's what true freedom is about. So the people you see in this picture and other people you might see in other pictures that are in other groups that I work with or other businesses that I own, each one of them represent a choice that I wanted that person in my life. It is a choice, not because I need to work with them, not because I have to work with them, not because it's going to make me so much money that even though I don't care for them, I'm going to work with them. None of that exists in my world anymore because I specifically pick and choose exactly who I want to work with based on the fact that much of the value is just in working with them because they have that much value to me as an individual, as a human, as a partner. So to me, that's real freedom. Working on worthwhile projects with people that you love, doing things that you love, and working on projects that yes, make money and make really good money, and yes, help people and empower people, but in the end, provide just a true fulfillment to me as an entrepreneur. And after you've made a little bit of money, the goal starts to shift because you realize that money does not make you happy in any way, shape, or form. It truly does not make you happy. Money is simply a tool to be able to do other things. And I would suggest that the best thing you can use money for, the best driving force and motivation, the best driving force and motivation to make money is to be able to use that money to help people, to make the lives around you better because they know you. That's why we work. And that's what I teach my children. You know, I have a 6-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son. And, you know, they're the loves of my life. And me and my wife, you know, we teach our children. And I ask them this all the time. Now, my 2-year-old is just learning how to talk, so he's struggling with this one, but I think he's already getting the idea. But my 6-year-old, my daughter, she says this right back to me. I say, why do we work? And she says, to make money. And I say, and why do we make money? And she answers, to help people, right? So I don't want her to look at and think of capitalism or making money as a bad thing. She's going to get enough of that in the world, right? I believe that capitalism, that entrepreneurship, that responsible entrepreneurship is the answer to our problems. And that's what I'm teaching my children, because that's the ultimate empowerment. You know, entrepreneurship creates opportunities. In times like this, it is entrepreneurship. It's the entrepreneurs in times like this, in years like this. It's the entrepreneurs that are creating the opportunities. It's the entrepreneurs that will solve the problems. And I've said this for many years, and this will never change. If you're looking for people to solve your problems for you, right, you're going to be looking for a long time. But number one, you know, politicians are not going to solve our problems. Talking heads are not going to solve our problems. People warring with each other and arguing with each other, that's not going to solve our problems. I'll tell you who can solve our problems are responsible, empowered entrepreneurs who thrive by helping others and creating opportunity for others, right? That's the answer to the problems of our country in this year or any other time, right? Is that we've got that, right? That's the answer. We are the answer. Entrepreneurs are the answer. People who can go out and make deals, people who can go out and create something, find note deals, build note building empires like this crew, right? We are the answer to so many of the problems that the world is dealing with. And if we focus, especially in times like these, if we focus on helping people, not making money as the number one priority, but providing solutions, providing paths for people to achieve, for alleviating people's problems. If you go into your business and into your life with that mindset of who can you serve, who can you help, I promise the money will follow. The financial success will follow if we put people first. So again, not politicians. It's not talking heads, right? It's not people on TV. It's not movie stars. It's responsible, empowered entrepreneurs like you and like me. That's what my great grandfather knew, right? That's what Pop Copeland knew way back in the 30s, way back when he started that mobile produce market, driving that thing and taking vegetables out to the country. Way back then, he realized I need to empower other people to make their world better. If I can do that, then I'm going to be able to accomplish everything that I need for my family. That's the way we need to go into it. That's what NoteExpo is all about. That's what Eddie Speed is all about. And guys, it has been a pleasure to talk with you today. I hope some of this has been useful for you. I hope this has provided a good mindset and a good tone that you can take with you on the rest of the time that you're here. Dig in, really, really plug into everything that Eddie Speed and the guys are saying. This is an amazing event. I'm excited about the rest of it. So thank you for letting me be on early in the program. I appreciate it. And thank you for listening so attentively. And if you want to reach out to me, just find me on Facebook. You can just look up Matt Andrews on Facebook. We can become friends there. And if you're a friend of Eddie Speed, you're a friend of mine. So thank you, Eddie. Thank you, team. Thank you, tech crew, and everybody who's made this what it is. Super easy and really awesome talking to you guys today. We'll see you soon.